Hello everyone and welcome to the summer season, the Saturday tier, the Canadian Grand Prix Montreal. We are finally here. Sorry for the delay, only about half of an hour late on the stream. We were quite late on qualifying as well, but trying to fix some technical problems and we should be good to go now. We've got Zingy and Nifo currently topping the times of a 9.0 and a 9.1, very close together for the top two, JJ and P3. Then we got Terence making their return this weekend with, I was going to say a team, but actually just driving the multiplayer livery car, of course, but it is pretty late for them. They're trying to get some laps in as they wake themselves up. And we've got Burkle in P5, Terence and I've already gone through Peanuts returns again to try and get some good laps in as they have a race distance under their belt right now. And then we've got Jesper, who is once again racing with us. Didn't race in Monaco, but they do race here in Canada, and they raced previously in Austria. Now we'll see what they can do after a bit more time has passed in the game. Will they be able to challenge up the front 3/10 off the current time in the first sector? Gonna need to find a lot more time if they want to try and push themselves up ahead of the other cars. Burkle is about 8/10 away, so yeah, a little bit more time will be needed, but I think they'll be able to get there. And we'll go over the next sector line right now and see what the lap time is currently looking like. An entire second is coming off their lap time at the moment, which is brilliant stuff. They will not be close enough to get to Terence as of now, but they might have a bit of time to find in the final sector if they really can do. Maybe the hairpin was a big problem for them at the later stages. We are at the later stages of qualifying. A lot of people in the pit lane getting ready for their final lap. Unfortunately, Jesper invalidates that one. That's so frustrating at the final few corners. Easily done though. It would have been 11.3 and it would have just been ahead of Burkle there in P5, but unfortunately they're going to have to wait again and save some battery. I don't know if they'll have time to go back into the pit lane and come back out. They might have a chance, but it would be very difficult to do so. Now, Burkle is on their outlap already, so they won't be able to go back in. They probably wouldn't want to be honest, too much anyway. The rest of the grid are in the pit lane already and waiting for the track evolution to be at its maximum. Now, leading the championship right now is Nivojan. We had Zingy not racing in the Saturday tier for the Austrian Grand Prix, and I believe, if I'm correctly saying yes, so the race did happen on Saturday for the Monaco Grand Prix. That was a win there too. Zingy, but Nifo still sat in P2, so whatever happens today, Nifo will still take the lead of the championship, continue to hold the lead of the championship, I should say, after the result here. I think pretty much, not any result, but as long as Nifo is fairly close behind Zingy, they should be absolutely fine. I think so. That would be P2 to Nifo in the first race, and that would have been a P2 again, where Zingy's only got one victory. So it would be possible for Zingy to take the lead this evening, but it would be very difficult. And that's the championship standings at the moment. They are currently racing for Racing Bulls, both of those drivers, and they are a team together, so it does mean that they are leading the constructors by quite a margin. We've got Terence on their way out now, and we've got quite a few people all on their way out of the pit lane now. It's a very interesting one. It merges with the first few corners, as you see Nifo go through past turn 1, merges with turn 2, and it can really be quite a false sense of distance. You get very confused of where you're going to come out, and that's going to be something to look for a little bit later on. But Burkle is going to finish their qualifying lap in a few moments' time, as they don't have much energy left in that car, so this will be it for them. They will not have enough time to save and go again. They need to make sure that they don't invalidate in the final two corners, and then we'll see what they can do lap time wise. Will they be able to push themselves further up the grid in front of Terence? They still need a lot of lap time to do that. 1.3 seconds all the way to Terence, just over 1.3 seconds. A bit tentative through that final sector, but track limits Burkle said they struggled with them yesterday, trying to get them under control today, and they do improve. So I think that's something to be proud about. And yeah, making do with the very, very difficult circumstances of this game right now. We've got JJ crossing the line to not be the next one to start their lap. That will go to not Terence, it will go to... Oh, and JJ's crashed. That's an interesting crash. I don't know how that's happened there, but it's happened. And that will be that one done for them today. Now, we do have Nifo right here. I was looking for someone else to see if they would be setting their lap next. As you see a couple people coming around the final corners, Jesper is trying to get their lap started at the final moments, but they didn't have ability to slow down. Did they get through? They did just get a lap in, but they do have Terence right in front of them, so that's really frustrating right there for them. The other car, Burkle, is doing their in-laps. It'll be actually Peanuts who will be going across the line in a few moments' time. And that is Nifo going purple middle sector. Zingy is in trouble if they're not careful. We go the wrong way down the list, actually. We don't get to see Zingy's time, so it will be over the line. Here's Peanuts for the final time this evening in qualifying. They go over the curb as they push it to the limit. What's it going to be for the Swedish driver for the first time lap of the evening? And that'll be a P5. Nifo crosses the line. They will invalidate, and Zingy retires at the final corner. Oh, what a shame. If Nifo just completed that lap, just maybe they would have had it. They would have had it. An 8.8 that would have been. Zingy wasn't able to get the job done. Terence has got a couple more corners to go with Jesper, who is behind, but they are a little bit further behind Terence than they were to start with. They've actually got damage as Terence. Will they be able to improve? I doubt it with damage. It's not going to happen. They don't in the end, and Jesper will cross the line, and that will be that for qualifying. A bit of a dramatic finish right there. Of course, Nifo would have had it if they just didn't make that slight mistake in the final two corners. Zingy having a big crash at the very end, but it doesn't matter because they still take pole position by almost 1.5 tenths, and then it's got JJ in P3. That's the rest of the grid, and we'll go through the race director just in case, and then we will be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Nifo to the outside line, getting good traction, but it's not going to be anything compared to Zingy, who will have the advantage into the first corner. We've got Terence and JJ going side by side just for a moment as JJ manages to single file it and get ahead. That is Jesper and Peanuts momentarily side by side themselves, and it's just Peanuts going ahead, but they make a big mistake and they're going to be rad immediately, luckily not getting damage, so they can continue on in this race. Burkle Burkle sitting right behind. It's not going to happen anything switching upwise, but Jesper did have a very close call there with Peanuts just in front spinning. There could have been a big bit of contact. JJ now sits behind Terrence, who makes that move immediately, loving that on the start. Nifo and Zingy are very close to one another, so Terrence has got a little bit of work to do if they want to try and bring themselves into DRS. Will that be something that can be possible? We will have to find out in a few moments time. JJ sitting in P4, and it's looking good for podium wise if they can hold on to the DRS of Terrence, which will be coming in a few moments time. Of course, at the midpoint of this lap, we've got Zingy and Niffa, who are so close that they could basically overtake each other, but they're not actually going to do it. Now, we do have a 35% distance race, but it doesn't mean the tyres are going to change too much. It does mean that Terrence, Jesper and Burkle have all gone onto these tyres. That's going to be a switch up, as unfortunately Jesper makes a mistake and loses part of their front wing. That's not the start they wanted to the Grand Prix, and they go behind Peanuts, who had that spin. Of course, Peanuts is catching up to Burkle to try and make some good progress. Zingy and Nifo currently lead the way. Zingy, though, isn't really wanting to use too much energy, so Nifo just has to sit behind. They're both on a hard tyre. It does allow Terrence to maintain a nice gap. I think they'll probably be communicating with one another and making sure that Terrence doesn't get close enough to be able to get in that DRS, but I'll be honest, it's very, very, very close. Let's see. Is he using energy? He is using a bit of energy. Nifo's also used some energy there, used a lot of energy actually, to stay on the back. Now, Terrence trying their best. They won't get DRS just yet. They might be able to get it if they can push a little bit in that first sector with this medium tyre. JJ trying to get dragged along, but I don't think it's going to be enough in the end. That is Peanuts getting ahead of Burkle. Burkle doesn't have the DRS, as Peanuts will continue with that DRS to make sure that move is secured. 4.1 seconds. They're going to try and catch the JJ, who gets the first time penalty of the race. Terrence in the first sector. Now we go through and we come to the end of the first sector, has not been able to catch up to the guys ahead to get that DRS, so unfortunately they're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Whether that'll be something that actually comes to fruition or not, I don't quite know, but Nifo leads the way and Zingy sits in P2. They'll both be saving ERS, as you can see, flashing lights on their cars. They can see that Terrence wasn't able to catch too much, so they know their pace at the moment and they know how they can control it, so they can start saving a little bit. It does mean that, of course, Terrence will be catching up a little bit, so they've got to be careful. But right now, Zingy isn't in a rush to make an overtake. They're just going to sit behind their teammate, maybe go for moving to turn one. That's a yellow there for Jesper, unfortunately, which isn't what we want to see, but it will just be a momentary safety car, or yellow flag I should say for now. It's gonna be a safety car, a full safety car. We overtake, we do not overtake, we do overtake the safety car. We do overtake the safety car. So, this is going to be a couple of pit stops for a few people. It's going to be hard tyres to the end for Terrence. It's going to be hard tyres to the end for Burkle. It brings Jesper back into the race. It's not going to be good, though, for Nifo and Zingy and JJ and Peanuts, who are all going to have to pit either onto a medium and try and take it to the end, or not at all. Now, it might be possible to go all the way to the end on a set of mediums. It would be incredibly difficult. It's not impossible to save, but you'll be a lot slower. Now, Jesper's going back into the pit lane. I think they must be trying to go and put a new set of mediums on. I say that. They didn't actually have a front wing, so they had to go into the pit lane again. They won't get lapped because of this safety car, so they are lucky for that, of course. But they will now be on a medium tyre, which might not make it to the end of this Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. Now, currently, Nifo is going to come into the pit lane and they will lead the way. Zingy is also going slightly offset to the racing line to try and allow the other cars to have a nice distance ahead to the car ahead, so they don't speed into the pit lane and make contact. And they'll all go into their own pit boxes, as we will have spread out pit boxes for this evening. And it is going to be a medium for Nifo, and Zingy it will be a medium as well. But Burkle takes the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time ever. Their second ever race in LSI. Their first Saturday tier race. They pick up the safety car, and yeah. How about that? They're going to be leading the safety car restart. That's going to be a drive-through penalty here for Jesper, unfortunately has sped, so that, you know, they'll catch up to the pack, but eventually they're going to end up losing out. What's happened there is that they've been under the delta just a moment, and then unfortunately, they've done it again, never mind. They were just under the delta, and then all of a sudden, Burke obviously caught up, and then they struggled. Now, he's very confused, it seems. They're not entirely sure how they've just got 2 drive-through penalties now. But yeah, that's pretty annoying for their race. They're going very slowly. Must be a bit of an issue here right now for them. But currently, it sits with Burkle on a standard set of medium tyres. This is no pit stop for them right now. Maybe they're looking to go to the end on the hards. I don't quite know. Terence has got a great opportunity to do very well in this Grand Prix. Whether they'll be fast enough to hold on to Niffer and Zingy and reduce or minimise the lap advantage that Niffer and Zingy will have for when either their tyres die off, or whether, I don't know, it might not die off. It might just be that they need to pit again. That is a question that we're going to have to ask ourselves in a few moments' time. It might be that they go absolutely full power and just try and get to a set of softs a little bit later. It might be that they try and nurse it with one another, of course. It is very possible to do that, especially as they both have pretty good pace, and they can just kind of follow each other. So they might have a go at trying to do that. I don't know what their fuel is like, but they probably don't need to save too much since they were in quite well-formed train for the first couple of laps of this Grand Prix and will have saved a lot of fuel by doing so. Now, the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. I just need to do a couple of things to check, so I do apologise for the delay, and then we'll be back very, very shortly. I'm just going to make sure that everything is as it should be, and then we should be good in a few moments' time. I do apologise for that short break, but in a few moments' time we're going to be expecting a restart as we cross the sector line, and we should get confirmation. There it is, and we're about to go racing once again for the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, we've never seen a safety car restart here from Burkle. Zingy, usually one of the best. He's in P3, going to have to react. Both, of course, Racing Bull drivers are in the VC, so P2 and 3 are going to be working together with one another. Terence is going to be as eager as possible to try and get through on a fresh set of hard tyres, but it might not be that easy. Burkle still warming up those tyres, waiting for the safety car to go in. They can go in at any point right now if they want to restart this race. They're still waiting a little bit. Although it looks like they're probably going to wait for the final corners on the exit. They push for the restart, and we are racing once again. Nippo gets a great one. They're going to have to wait to make the move on the line. They do. Now into turn 1, and they lead the Grand Prix immediately. Zingy's going to have to sit behind. They didn't get the job done. They've got Terence to worry about on the traction, though. Zingy has it, and into turns 3 and 4, they're going to have to make that move. And that's a brilliant move that tried to hold on to it, did Burkle, but instead it slowed them down a bit more, and Terence is super close to the back of the Dutchman. Would they be able to get the job done in a few months' time? I don't quite know, but that's a track limit there possibly for Burkle, struggling over that inside curve. Terence has got JJ hunting them down, but he's not in a position to make an overtake at such a tricky part of the circuit. Now Burkle has got a lot of pressure behind. They've got Terence going for that move into the hairpin. JJ is going to want a bit of the action if they can. There's contact. Terence has a half spin and is going to lose a load of time for that. What a shame to see that happen. JJ's going to get through, and they're going to try and use as much energy as they can to make this move slick. They're on the fresher tyre. They need to get the job done, but they're going to try and make it side by side as Burkle. They back off. Then all of a sudden the car's slowed down. Terence is going to have to try and find another way through. Peanut sits right behind as well. The two teammates from F1.5 last season are sitting very close to one another, and they're trying to get past the non-pitted car of Burkle, who is on significantly more worn tyres. Peanuts is going to go through, and Terence is going to let them go as they just lose the traction. Peanuts gets their first 3 second, unfortunately, hopefully their only as well. JJ, Burkle and Peanuts currently the ones with those time penalties. Peanuts is going to have a look on the exit. DRS and ERS is available now for the Swedish driver, and they make that move, and I think they're probably going to look at taking that racing line, and they do so. And now Terence is going to have to try and find a way through. They get a brilliant exit, but not quite in a position to make a move just yet. Would they want to try and send it on the brakes into the hairpin? They'll not. They will look for the DRS and maybe a better exit, as that is a big, wide moment here for Burkle. But Terence has got that hard tyre, so the traction's not too easy. DRS is available, though, and they use a lot of it. They use that better line. They're going to be on the attack here for Peanuts if they're not careful. They do back off and make sure that they don't overtake their old teammate. They will sit behind in P5 and now see if they can make this strategy work. But that's 4 or 5 seconds now they've lost to the top two. JJ sits on their own with no time penalty issues currently to their name, which is brilliant. 3 seconds for all the time penalty runners. They changed that to 6, does JJ, which is not ideal because now it automatically puts Peanuts in front, and also Terence will be in front. So Terence is currently sitting in P3. Peanuts would be in P4 and JJ would be in P5 with Burkle in P6. Now, I say that I think JJ might actually end up being a little bit lower with the train that they've kind of got going on right behind. The top two are on their own. 5 seconds away it's looking like right now, as JJ wasn't able to hold on. Terence is going to be devastated with the situation that they're in because they had a really good opportunity, but now the tyre advantage might not be the case. I think we will see the mediums try to go to the end. It's really not going to be easy. Borderline impossible, I reckon. We could get some, if not punches, just some very, very slow cars at the end. But we'll see. Peanuts catches up to JJ, and the DRS train is on. No DRS to Peanuts, but there is DRS to Terence, and they wanted to have a look, but they weren't going to go for the move. They realised that Peanuts has a lot more to play with that tyre. If they can just sit behind right now and maybe go for a double overtake on JJ, that would be great. They've got a lot of energy. They've got a lot of pace in that car to be able to push with in a few moments' time. Burkle not too far away, but unfortunately just, I think, loses out on the DRS. We're going to look at their rear wing, and it doesn't open, so unfortunately they're just going to lose a massive amount of time at a circuit like this with so much DRS. It's a yellow flag with a safety car bug. I'm just going to quickly do that, and hopefully it's fixed it. It hasn't. It's not a safety car, I can tell you that. We are green flag racing right at the moment. It does mean that we will probably see that for the rest of the race. But it is what it is. Zingy and Nifo switch up. We go back with the cars behind as well, and it's not going to be a switch up here for Peanuts. Peanuts is a little bit too far away. They do have the DRS on the British driver, who hits the wall a little bit, but not enough to give them damage. I really do hope they don't have any damage visually. Whether they would have any damage actually on the car, I don't quite know. That second DRS zone allows Peanuts to get super close to the back of JJ. Terence is currently sitting behind in mercy of this train. The DRS cancels itself out if the two cars ahead, of course, if the car ahead has DRS as well. So it does mean it's incredibly difficult for him to make any overtakes and make any progress. Maybe if they were even faster than Peanuts, they would have been able to go for that move, but Peanuts isn't willing to go for that move right now, and Terence does have to sit behind. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. We will not know until later on, but it might be that Peanuts is just a little bit too quick, who's using the ERS into the hairpin on entry as they're trying to get the move done here on JJ. Now it looks like they're pushing for it. DRS is available for the Swedish driver, and that will be JJ under attack. They catch a lot. I think they're going to look for the turn 1 maneuver instead, however, as they seem to have backed off. And then on the exit, can they get a decent one? It's not a bad one at all. They're going to have to use a lot of energy if they do want to challenge into the first corner, and they do back off on the energy after all. So once again, Terence has to sit and watch this battle happen up in front, and he can't do anything about it. 7.4 seconds. These guys lose even more time lap after lap. Burkle sits in P6 on their own. Nifo and Zingy are absolutely chilling at the moment. Lap 12 out of 25, and yeah, they're loving life with their train going on. They'll just continue like this for the rest of the Grand Prix, and then decide on who's going to win at the very end, as they did in the Austrian Grand Prix for the Friday tier, and that could really affect that championship. So, yeah, I reckon we're going to see these guys battle it out at the very end of this race. And now JJ still leads. Peanuts is going to get a second opportunity, or another opportunity, I should say, more than two, to now try and overtake. Will they give it a shot, though? I don't quite know. They've got a lot of battery in that car, and they're very close to the British driver, but they're not going to be in a position to make an overtake as they're not using the energy. So they will sit behind. Will they get a good exit and go for it into the first corner? ERS is being used. Here we go. This is the attack. This is for the move. For P3 to the inside line. It's going to work nicely. They secure it ahead already. JJ tries to stick their nose in as they lose space as Peanuts. Terrence wasn't able to execute a move as well. They have to sit behind, and that is a very lovely move right there from Peanuts. He's made it work, and JJ's going to have to try and think about this one. Is he going to try and remake a move, or is he going to try and make sure that he stays right behind? That's a big mistake there for Peanuts. And it's going to mean that JJ will try and go for it again. Peanuts and Terrence are going to have to try and sort themselves out as Peanuts goes to the racing line in front of Terrence, but Terrence is going to be furious at that one. They want to be able to try and get through if they can, but they just have to sit behind and wait. They've got so much energy in that car to deploy, but they can't do anything about it if these guys are continuing to do what they're doing. Now, DRS is available for Peanuts, but again, they're not going for this move on the back straight, which I'm really surprised about. I wonder if they know about the double DRS or not. But on the exit, we'll see. Will they get a better exit? ERS is not going to be used. Is this an opportunity right here? Is this a weak spot here for Terrence to realise that these guys aren't going to be using ERS and they're going to be working together now? ERS has been used recently by Terrence, so they've got to be careful, but they really want to try and get through if they can, because I reckon they've got a bit more pace in that car to be able to utilise. And of course, with that medium tyre only getting older and this hard tyre getting faster and faster, they really do need to try and see if they can make their way through and utilise this performance. Save the battery so much throughout the lap in this game. It really helps a massive amount, and it does mean that JJ not only has the ability to defend this position, but also Peanuts has an ability to attack and make sure that Peanuts isn't able to attack them. Offensive to go on the defensive. That is the way it works. 6 seconds, of course, for JJ. Just a quick refresher. Burkle also over 6 seconds. They've gone for a pit stop. 3 seconds only for Peanuts. No penalty points or time penalties for Terrence. That does mean Terrence currently still sits in P3. They go for the move here on Peanuts, but they back out immediately as they realise it's not going to work. They get themselves a 3 second. I was just going to say they'll be comfortably where they are, but it's not going to be the case after all. Terrence is going to try and go for the move. They force Peanuts off an awkward line. JJ had to go a little bit wide as they realised that Peanuts was also going to try and follow through if they could, as they had to go on the attack to make sure they maintain position, but instead they backed out. Did Terrence? They weren't willing to hit their former teammate. They just gave up the effort. All of that energy that would have been used is unfortunately gone now, and yeah, Peanuts has to count his lucky stars right there. Did get sent a little bit by Terrence. Terrence would have had a look, but they backed off way too early, and instead are now 8 tenths behind and not in a position to make any attacking move. JJ holds on to the pack with 10.8 seconds to the lead cars, who are going to be switching on the back straight right here. Lap 15 out of 25. They're about to start the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix. Not in a position to be able to make an overtake, or a pit stop and still be ahead of the others. Peanuts is going to make the move here on JJ, and JJ is going to let that one happen. This is an opportunity right here. Another 3 second here for JJ. ERS is going to be used right now for Terrence, as it's not going to be nothing that JJ could do about it, and they're going to have to let it go. They're still going to try and get their way the inside. There's a bit of wheel banging going on the traction. That hard tyre just isn't enough to be able to get it, and JJ is going to have the advantage. They continue. A very good opportunity here for Terrence, but unfortunately I think they just used a little bit of energy earlier on, and they had to conserve it a little bit, so they're only able to get so close to JJ, and it just wasn't enough. JJ was able to manage to get his way back through a little bit of wheel banging, nothing too much at all. They were able to get through the corner fairly well, but Peanuts in the meantime is now ahead, a 3-second to Peanuts and Terrence, so they're on equal playing fields, whereas a 9-second here to JJ, so they're in a struggling situation right now. These two do switch. When will they go for pit stops? Will they go for pit stops? The thing is, whoever pits, Zingy or Nifo, the other one can decide not to go to the pit lane. So whoever's sat in P2 is basically at the mercy of P1. It's going to be interesting. I really don't think they're going to try and use tyres. They might have a bit of a mind game situation and try and push each other to the limit, because, you know, if they slow down to make sure that they don't abuse their tyres, then it's going to be very interesting later on who can make that move, of course. And Zingy being on the controller is going to have significantly worse tyre wear compared to Nifayan. Now, how that will play things later on, I don't quite know. Will we be comfortably going to the end of the Grand Prix? These tyres are looking pretty dead already. They still got a long way to go. They can go to laps 16, 17, 18. We saw people go to lap 21 yesterday, but it is a 35% distance race. So it does mean that the tyres do wear at a different rate, at a faster rate. JJ, in the meantime, has made the move again on Peanuts. Now Terrence is very close behind as he tries to size up a move here on Peanuts. ERS is going to be possibly available right here for Terrence. They are using the energy. They want to go for the move here on the Swedish driver. They've had enough of waiting around, but again, the energy just isn't enough to be able to get there, and that's JJ going into the pit lane, makes the call. ERS and DRS is now fully available without Peanuts having the DRS. Was that the right call here for JJ? Was that the right call? Now, they are going to have those penalties, of course. They've got to try something different. They're not going to lose out to Burkle, who will not be close enough to make any move. But JJ, maybe, just maybe, if they go for this undercut, they might have an advantage. They don't opt for the soft tyre. They opt to be able to push for longer and just stay on this medium tyre, and they should hopefully be good to go. Now, Terrence, sitting in P4, they are going to have a great opportunity at going for this move on Peanuts. They're saving a bit of energy. They don't need as much as they did before, of course, because now they can make the move without Peanuts having DRS as well. They were so close on the last lap. Now, on the traction, ERS, DRS will be used. Would they go for the move immediately? I think they're going to wait for turn 1 instead. They're not as close as they would have liked. Is Peanuts going to take this call to go into the pit lane? Terrence is going for the move late on into the straight. They take the racing line. Peanuts is almost into the back of him right there, as possibly a little bit shocked. DRS is again available for Terrence, and they're going to be very happy with that one. Now, they're good to go to the end of this Grand Prix. The thing is, will a 12-second gap be enough for Terrence to catch up? Zingy's got himself a 3-second time penalty. All of a sudden, it's no Mr. Nice Guy, and Zingy's going to have to start pushing to their absolute maximum if they want to win this Grand Prix. We've got about 6.5 laps remaining off this Grand Prix, and it's all of a sudden changed completely. Nifo realizes they can win this Grand Prix quite nicely. It's going to be chaos at the end of this one. I don't know what's going to happen between the two teammates, but Nifayan once again looking for the victory of the Grand Prix. They go for the overtake on their teammate to make sure that Zingy can't break away. They can't break away, and that is absolute class tactics. They'll get DRS to make sure that they secure that as well. Now the thing is, will Peanuts try and make an overtake here on Terrence? They're a little bit too far behind as they realise these tyres are wearing off, but they can't go for the pit stop to cover off JJ because it's way too late. Look at that gap they've got. They are pushing like a madman. They've got a massive amount of pace. 13 seconds already. That's awesome stuff right there for them. Would it be enough though? I don't quite know. These guys seem to be confident that they can make it to the end of the Grand Prix. Of course, the top two know that, so Peanuts is probably going to be thinking exactly the same. JJ had to go for a different kind of strategy because he knew he wasn't going to shake off the other guys. Terrence is going to be loving this to the end of the Grand Prix. As long as they don't get a time penalty, they should be absolutely fine. 12.8 seconds. Watch how that goes. Watch how it goes for Terrence, of course, but also the top two will all of a sudden the pace change. Terrence gets another 3 second as I speak. Commentator's curse, and Peanuts is all gonna need to do is relax, and they should be absolutely fine. That is Zingy very close to their teammate, but not making a move at the moment, and they're just at the mercy. They're gonna reach the 5 laps. Oh, and Nifo makes a mistake. I do not believe it. That's gonna be another 3. That's gonna be a 3 second, and now it's not so easy, and they've got damage as they lose the car on the exit of the final corner. DRS will be available to try and save their race. They might be able to hold on, but Zingy all of a sudden is once again on track in the lead of the Grand Prix, and they should be absolutely fine. I cannot believe what I'm seeing, and unfortunately now that is going to be incredibly difficult here for Nifo, but great news for Zingy. They're going to be looking to take their first win in the Saturday tier, their second win in the Saturday tier, I should say. It would still be the lead of the championship here for Nifo, but it's not what they wanted. It is not what they wanted at all. Their hope that Zingy maybe gets another time penalty. They do hold on to the DRS, and they'll get 2 double doses of DRS. That's awesome right there for their race. Will they try and get ahead of Zingy to make sure that they don't escape? It would be wise to do so. It would be wise to do so. If they get in front of their teammate, they can prevent them from breaking away and maybe have an opportunity attacking at the very end. Now, they're not too slow right there, but they're not going to use the energy. And I think what they're hoping right now is that they can stay right behind in DRS to the end of the Grand Prix and maybe go for the move on track. The pace doesn't seem to be as bad as they maybe expected. Terrence gets in front again of Peanuts as these guys work together, but 13.5 seconds despite Nifo having that damage. It doesn't seem to be like it's an attribute that they're gaining on. The word was completely wrong, but you know what I was trying to say, I'm sure. I don't think you were. I need to just refresh and we'll be good to go. Now, Zingy leads the way, and I think they're pretty confident that they can hold on, but they're all over the curves. All over the curves. Those tyres are finished. Absolutely finished. And what we saw yesterday was when the tyres got to a certain percentage, they were lethal to drive on, and that's what you can see right now, even more so right now, because these tyres are going all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. It might be worth Nifo going to a set of softs with a front wing change, but I don't think they're going to opt for it. It could have possibly been a factor, but I don't know. These tyres they are hoping that can go to the end would be good. ERS is once again being used by Nifo, and they're just trying to hold on. Zingy is so close to track limits on multiple occasions, looking like they're almost spinning, and despite damage being available right here for Nifo, they're struggling as well themselves with a full front wing. I don't know how they're going to turn around this, or turn this around if they're currently in the situation as they are. Lap 23 out of 25. We have not got long. We've got 2.5 laps of this race remaining, and Nifo's still in a strong position regardless. They have that DRS and that ERS that will come to them in a few moments' time. Terrence still holds on to Peanuts. Peanuts isn't able to make the move this time. They're a bit too far behind. These tyres are only going to get better for Terrence, but they do have that 6 seconds, so as long as Peanuts holds on fairly closely, they will get that P3, and I'm sure they'll be happy with that one. In the meantime, JJ 8.6 seconds, catching up a lot of course, but unfortunately the pace has just dropped a little bit in recent times. Of course, from that initial pit stop they did a phenomenal job, but now is not quite as good as they probably were hoping. They're hoping that the cars ahead do start to get punctures, and maybe it will be good for them, but right now I don't think it's going to be possible. There's 2 DRS trains going on up in front, and the pace is just absolutely phenomenal because of that reason. Despite the damage being available here for Nifo, it's not like they chose it, just being on Nifo's car right now, they're still breaking away, or slowly breaking away, maybe just maintaining that gap to P3 and P4. A massive change in the final stages of the Grand Prix, and Terrence makes a mistake, and that's unfortunately him out. I do not believe it. This is all changing. Lap 24 to 25, and that is another DNF. 2 DNFs. I say 2 DNFs. Another bit of damage as he saw in Monaco for Terrence, but this time it's a little bit further, and that is P5 gone. P4 gone. JJ's going to make that move, and that was a massive slow up there for Peanuts as as they've got damage. And what about this? JJ is in the hunt to make this overtake. Now what's got to happen right here is Peanuts has just got to stay out and hope that they don't drop 6 seconds behind JJ. They can go to the end of the Grand Prix. They can go to the end of the Grand Prix. They have to make sure that they don't drop 6 seconds. JJ's going to probably make that move and they're going to try and push to the absolute limit. Are they going to make the move already? They're not in a position to do so. That Swedish driver is using... Oh no! JJ didn't realise that they had damage. He's also got damage himself. I don't think anything can happen with that one. And, well, he still has... decent front wing compared to Peanuts. They might be able to break away. They've got 1 lap to do it. In the meantime, Nifo is still right behind his teammate, his rival, and this battle continues to the very last lap of the Grand Prix. I don't know what I'm seeing right now. Absolutely crazy stuff all the way to the line, as we saw yesterday as well. Canada never fails to disappoint. Zingy, they're going to try and push to the final limit. Is it going to be possible? ERS, DRS is available for the Dutchman, and they'll get the move into the final corner. Zingy goes slightly defensive as best as they can to force off the line their teammate, but it's not going to matter. It is going to matter. I do not believe it. DRS is available. He'll edge him out, and that's going to be Nifo who will win the Canadian Grand Prix on track. Absolutely incredible. 0.038 seconds, and once again beats Zingy this season and extends their championship lead. How about that? With damage up to the line, Zingy did absolutely everything right there. That defense right there from him was perfect. JJ wasn't able to break away. 2.75 seconds in it, 7.51 seconds in it. That was so close. A brilliant effort from JJ to try and get that done. It wasn't enough in the end. Burkle sits in P5 and will take good points to the championship. But this man has done it. Zingy, as I said, did everything that they needed to do. They gave a perfect defense to force Nifo offline so they could get that better exit. They did so, but with the DRS, it was never going to be a contest. He needed a safety car to disable the DRS for that to work, but it's not going to happen. And that is going to be Nifo winning the Canadian Grand Prix. The backflip is very nice to see. And how about that? Nifo wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Zingy gave it his all with a fastest lap in P2. Then we've got Peanuts, JJ Burke, Terrence, and Jesper, with Terrence DNFing but being classed as finish. Jesper DNFing a lot earlier on, so will not be classed as finish. Luckily there, Terrence will be able to claim those points, of course. But wow, what a race. We'll be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Canadian Grand Prix. Despite the small grid, we had an absolutely awesome race. I think that's fair to say. Obviously, it wasn't so awesome, the end result from Terence, as we'll speak to now, but it was a very eventful race, I can say that for sure. Terence, with the strategy, of course, changing at the early stages of the Grand Prix, do you think if you didn't make that little mistake, you'd have been able to get ahead and maybe stay ahead and finish ahead of Peanuts, or do you think that time penalty was just not enough?
I don't. Actually, I tried to push after I got another 3 seconds penalty. But Peanut is quite quick at that stage compared with my should be fresher hard tire. But yeah, I try everything, and then sometimes I can get into 0.9 margin. But I still can't break the DRS, so Peanut did a very good job there. And then on the earlier stage, I think is I still can't believe that I can somehow matching the pace to the top two runners. Although they are using hard tire, I'm using mediums, but I'm quite confident with tire saving. So is a lot of hope on that stage, but it crashed after this first safety car.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good effort and a really good race to watch as well. You had an awesome one, and thank you very much for the entertainment on that side. But yeah, it's unlucky. It's a very difficult track though on the hard tyres for sure. And with worn hard tyres, it's virtually impossible. Obviously, you said that you dipped the wheel in the grass, so it's a little bit different, but you did a very good job before that little mistake at the very final stages of the race. Silverstone, is it a circuit that you like? And is it a better circuit for you over Canada?
No, I don't think so, because Silverstone is a lot. Many drivers would take Silverstone as their usually practice or something.
Yeah.
And then the high-speed corner make my tires really worn from the previous runs. So I have to look at it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's something to look at. It's a very difficult circuit with the tyre model, unfortunately, but I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. You did a great job today, and hopefully you can get a bit of redemption next time. But thank you very much, Terence, and really well done.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron.
And we move on to Peanuts. Peanuts, obviously, the battle ended a little bit. You were slowed down quite a bit because of that, and then JJ was able to get through. But can you take us through your whole race, because you had a lot to go through?
In the beginning, I thought that I was as good as medium runners, so I tried to use their braking points, which, as you can guess, turned out well, and I was like 5 seconds behind, I think, in last, pretty much. Then I did try to find my way up. I was a little quicker than a few cars, like 2 cars, and then I was just holding on to DRS or JJ. I felt like we were kind of on the same level. I wasn't really pushing to keep in his DRS, but I wasn't really super close either. Like I was for the most part on 100 DRS, just happy with where I was managing. And this was after the safety car. The safety car really brought me into things, but I'm really pleased. Like yesterday, I wasn't even in the same pit stop window as Zingy and Nifojan and those guys. But today, like I know it was 10 laps less, but I was like 12. We were like 12 seconds behind. Once Terrence did his bottle and kind of crashed, broke my wing, but we weren't as far behind as I expected to be, which shows great improvement, and Zingy and Nifojan should be terrified.
They should. Now, my question to you is, do you think that's because you had a race distance under your belt from yesterday, or do you think you're just getting a little bit more comfortable with the game as you drive? And for Silverstone, you could do maybe even a little bit more?
Well, it's definitely a mixture of both. Because I mean, I feel definitely more confident in the game, but I think it's more that I'm confident on this specific track because I had already done a 50%er.
Mm.
And I hadn't done that before. Like I had no practice going into yesterday's race where I was shocking, and I think I probably race pace wise chopped off like 20 seconds or so.
Mm.
From that race to this one, if it wouldn't have been that safety car.
Yeah.
I just felt in general a lot quicker today, a lot more confident, and that confidence didn't need warnings to exist. Like I felt like I was driving a pretty well managed race, so it was very fun. There was fighting up and down, enjoyable.
You were definitely a lot quicker today than you were yesterday, and it definitely looked almost like your old self as before, of course. Some nice good old battles as well. It's not an easy circuit with track limits and even with staying in the race, so you've managed to do that as well. But yeah, really well done today. Silverstone, we asked you yesterday, are you looking forward to that one?
Oh, after this, I'm looking forward to it a little more because I think I can actually maybe do something if I would practice Silverstone a little bit. It's so difficult. Like, I mean, just learning all these tracks from pretty much scratch. It's the only thing that's the same as the acceleration.
Yeah, I'd say it's similar. It is similar. I think it's also a circuit that is a lot more familiar to most, so it might be easier to pick up, and you should be absolutely fine.
Oh, I don't mean like that. I mean like skill level compared to last game. I mean like the acceleration is the only thing which I'm comfortable with. Everything else just not there.
I see. Fair enough. Well, thank you very much. I hope it goes well in Silverstone. Really well done today, and thank you for some great racing. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
And we move on to the next one, and we will go to Zingy. Zingy, that was a difficult race. I just wanted to read what you said there. I don't know if that's anything you want to mention in the interview or not, but really, really tough. You tried to show who's boss in qualifying by absolutely slamming it into the wall. But yeah, it was a difficult one. I guess the strategy wasn't easy for sure. I'll let you speak about the rest of the race though.
Yeah, of course. I was about 1.5 tenths up in quality, and I thought I might as well send it. I know Niffle was up on his lap 10 because he seemed to be pushing very hard, and usually when he backs off, he unmutes his mic. So I thought, oh, I should probably get on with it. And then I put it in the wall of champions, which is obviously quite typical. And for the race, obviously controller have a bit more tyre wear than the wheel is. We cannot be as precise as wheel users. So my tyres were like 60% at the end of the race, some stupid like that. So I was trying my best to focus on the traction zones, and my dog just started barking when I was trying to focus on the traction, and I couldn't hear my engine much, so I just kind of didn't get a good exit. And I think that's the reason why I lost. Finlay done it once again, and he's lost me the race.
So I guess Finley's maybe pro Niffo, a massive Niffo supporter. He's got fans around the world. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you really did give us a very good race. For the final few corners alone, of course, that defense was pretty impressive. Do you think you could have maybe got through if you had another go? One more lap? I don't know. What do you think?
Give me 100 attempts and Niffle wins 8 of them.
8? Okay. I think
80.
Oh, 80. Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. We move on to Silverstone. Whether you'll be there or not, is that a good circuit for you?
Yeah, Silverstone, great track for me. I think a lot of people do shine there. It's a fast sweeping corners, and when you've got high downforce setups on that track, it really does show. The car just feels amazing, and I think it'll definitely come down to the last lap again. I hope it all goes well, nothing bad happens, no crashes, no incidents, and I think we'll have a good race once again, being Niffle in probably Charlie, Hige as well, if he races Pursuant 2, if his back's not broken. So, we'll see. We'll have fun.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Really well done today. Great effort, Zingy, and we'll see you next time. And we move on to your race winner, Nifo. I would go and say well done and everything like that, but were you trying to tell us something by hitting that wall of champions? Are you trying to hint at something? I don't quite know.
No, it was just, it was too easy. It tried to make it difficult. No, it was, I mean, the whole race, I think I made, at so many points in the race, I made it difficult for myself. First, qualifying, I was 2.5 tenths up. I could have fought for pole. Invalidate Wall of Champions. Didn't need to push that hard there, but my ego got to me. I was like, oh, well, I could take it fast. I couldn't because I invalidated. Make it hard for myself. Start P2. Did it make a difference in the ground scheme of things? No, but I did make it hard for myself. First few laps were good. Then lap 3, for no reason at all, I just, in 3 and 4, I just double warning because I cut 3 and then I instinctively turn in at the same point, so I cut 4, get 2 warnings on lap 3, and I do great. I have to drive this whole race now, not getting a warning. Then the safety car comes out, so I know, well, I started on hard, so now we have to do the whole stint on mediums, and knowing they die after like 8 laps, I was like, oh, well, this is great. That was fine because the guys behind were fighting. I was scared of Terrence because he was on hards and he showed a bit of pace on the laps that he was behind us. But yeah, they started fighting, so we pulled the gap and we just worked together very nicely. Then Zingy got the 3 seconds. So I was like, well, all I have to do is stay behind and not get a penalty. 2 laps later, what does Nifo do? Get a penalty. Make it hard for myself. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I can just battle on equal terms with him. What does Nifo do? Get damage in Wall of Champions. Great. Yeah. But then, from then on, I just stayed behind, waiting for the final lap to happen. We both saved ERS. For the final lap, had a nice little battle down the straight. Because of I had wing damage, but not a lot, but it was light green, so you still have a bit of understeered. And the final chicane again, he had a good run, but luckily I had DRS and ERS, so got the win by a very small margin. But like, if I just didn't get that final warning, I would have made it so much easier for myself. But I mean, I made it hard, probably made it better to watch, and yeah, it was a lot of fun and good teamwork with Zingy again.
Yeah, I mean, you make it difficult, but then when it does go your way, I guess it probably feels even more enjoyable because it was so tough. But I do want to quickly ask, at what lap did you two decide, okay, we're going to start trying to fight for position of one another and not just bring it home in single file?
21.
21. Fair enough. I thought so. Yeah, that was a good one to watch. Of course, whether you'll be there or not, I don't know. But Silverstone, is it a circuit that you like?
Like the racing, not a lot, but I guess it'll probably be fun again.
Fair enough. Well, you extend your championship lead. Thank you very much, Nifo. Really well done today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. And
that's been it for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy Sunday. We will see you on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Have a good one, and bye-bye.